Do you trust your employees? Seems like a simple question. I just saw this report come out from Microsoft. So what they were trying to do was look at the adoption of MS Copilot. And what they found is a couple of things, but the big thing that popped out to me is 72% of the people struggle to integrate it into their daily routine. And now I use ChatGPT all day long, like without thinking about it. And so I was wondering why do we think that is? So I happened to be talking to a couple of friends of mine that are coaches in different areas of business, some executive coaches, some working with people just creating deliverables. And my statement is that you can, for every role, for every deliverable, you can use AI to help you automate it, right? And automate it, not completely, but human in the loop, make you more efficient and create better quality in a lot of your outputs. And I proposed this to them, and they almost to a T, every one of them pushed back on me. And I was like, wow, this fascinates me because I know they all use some form, either Copilot, ChatGPT, or Claude. And I started thinking about this. If that's the way these guys think, and these are management coaches, so they're coaching managers, executives. And I'm thinking if that's the way they think about it, it's probably the way the executives are thinking about it. And this kind of led us into then a psychological safety and an ethical AI conversation. And I think this is where psychological safety for an employee and ethical AI kind of intersect. I remember back in the 90s, there was this thing called email. Everybody was worried about it. There were privacy, security issues. Could it be a legitimate form of communication? Everybody was worried and they thought they were going to lose their personal touch. And it came to find out that at the beginning, you just had to trust it. You had to trust that your employees were going to do the right thing, right? So forget about the occasional transposing words for letters in horseback riding. That's a whole nother issue. There was a picnic coming up, horseback riding, a couple letters were transposed. I'll leave the rest to your imagination. But anyway, so what happened is that managers just had to trust their employees that they would do the right thing. And what ended up happening is that as it matured, we added security to it. There are ways to check. Have you ever tried to send PII out of a healthcare organization? You immediately get blocked. It pulls it from your email, all kinds of great things. So it helps protect. But it started out with that trust. And does it sound familiar? That's exactly what we're into now. Who would imagine running an organization today without email? You wouldn't even think about it. That's the route we're heading with AI. Whether you like it or not, it's going to be there. It's going to be completely integrated into your environment. And so the question is, do you get ahead of it or you wait and have it done to you? And so there are a couple of things, right? Right now, the way it works is when you're using ChatGPT or Claude or the others, I'm just going to say ChatGPT from now on, but you guys know I'm talking about all LLMs. The thing is that in almost all cases, there's a human in the loop. There's me. I'm typing in, I'm prompting it, I'm looking at the output. And the idea is that I'm using it as a co-pilot, not as a pilot. I'm not telling it to do my job. I'm asking it to help me do something. And obviously there are issues. Some people are concerned that it's not trained on your problem domain, but that's, to me, is a minor issue. There are ways around that. Organizations are working on creating systems. There's something called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Guidance, where you can fine tune the data in the LLM so that you're getting better responses. But all that's doing is giving you better and better responses. If you trust your employees and to use it, then there shouldn't be a problem. For example, if I'm putting together a PowerPoint deck for a quarterly board meeting and I'm working it through and I'm going to have to present this to the board, is there any reason why I can't use AI to create that PowerPoint deck? And if you say yes, there is a reason, I would ask you to try it and look at it. And what would happen? Do you Google information on your competitors if you want to add it to the report? Do you maybe check with 5 or 6 different experts that you know in the industry? Maybe you read a book on how to create a really good quarterly management report deck. What are some of the key things that you should talk about? Do you ask your neighbor, your peer, somebody that's done it before? All of these things are what we use the large language models to do. That's what I use ChatGPT to do. You leverage it to use all the experts that are out there, all the books. I don't have to read 97 books. I just need to know how to access them and ask the questions the right way. And then when I get responses back, I better be sure that I understand what that response is. And if I'm asking it to add numbers together, I better validate those numbers. All of these things that I'm going to do because those checks and balances are already in place. What happens before you do a board review? I'm sure you have a couple of iterations where the management team gets together, they review the deck, they talk to it, they ask questions. So there are things in place to protect everybody in the information that comes out. So we have to stop getting to the point where we have people apologizing for using these tools. It's just another tool. Everybody's afraid of email. Look at it now. Same thing's happening with AI. So when I read things like these Microsoft reports where people are struggling, the idea is that everybody should be looking at, and in my training, what I talk about is, again, every deliverable for every role. Doesn't matter what the role is, doesn't matter what the deliverable is. You can use the ChatGPT to lay out the workflow and to help you automate in those pieces. So again, let's stop apologizing for using it. Let's start trusting our employees to do the right thing.